Saturday, August 12th, was to be a day of pride and triumph for the crew members of the nuclear submarine Kursk. The vessel, one of the Russian Navy's newest and most powerful cruise missile submarines, was proudly named for a great Russian victory against the Nazis in World War II, one of the turning points of the whole war. That day, the second day of an exercise in the Barents Sea, the Kursk was at periscope depth. By noon, the submarine had successfully completed a torpedo firing run and was preparing for another. Captain Lyachin, one of Russia's most experienced submarine officers, radioed the task force commander for permission to fire. This transmission was monitored by the American surveillance ship USNS Loyal, lurking with some American submarines about 300 kilometers west-northwest of the Kursk. But then, instead of the sounds of torpedoes blown from launch tubes, sonar operators aboard the U.S. subs heard a short, sharp explosion, followed by an enormous, thundering boom. Later, when the wreck of the 154-meter-long Kursk was found, underwater cameras revealed that the blast tore open an area the size of a school gymnasium, wrecking the entire forward section of the double-hulled submarine.
Most of the submariners were killed in the blasts or quickly drowned. But underwater tapping signals indicated some crew members survived in the stern sections of the submarine. Water temperatures in the Barents Sea were just above freezing. The remaining hull of the Kursk rested 377 feet below the surface. Carbon dioxide levels were rising around those who had survived the initial blasts. Submersible rescue crafts made vain attempts in zero-visibility water to rescue those still trapped in what remained of the Kursk on the sea floor. In contradiction to claims by Russian officials that all had perished within minutes of the accident, it was discovered some of the crewmen had survived in an isolated chamber for a while. But eventually, the distress signals ceased. Amid articles recovered from the husk of the sunken submarine was a dying message written by Lieutenant Captain Dmitry Kolesnikov to his wife.
That is what we people do, write messages to one another. In the first place, in the last place, we are a narrative species. We exist by storytelling, by relating our situations. And the test of our evolution may lie in getting the story right. What Kolesnikov did in deciding to describe his position and entrapment, others have also done, in states of repose or terror. When a Japan Airlines airliner went down in 1985, passengers used the long minutes of its terrible, spiraling descent to write letters to loved ones. When the last occupants of the Warsaw Ghetto had finally seen their families and companions die of disease or starvation, or be carried off in trucks to extermination camps, when there could be no doubt of their own fate, still they took scraps of paper on which they wrote poems, thoughts, fragments of lives, rolled them into tight scrolls, and slipped them into the crevices of the ghetto walls. They wrote because, like Kolesnikov, they had to. The impulse was in them, like a biological fact. So enduring is this storytelling need that it shapes nearly every human endeavor. We do our learning through storytelling processes. All this is of acute and consoling interest to writers whose odd existences are ordinarily strung between asking why we do it and doing it incessantly. The explanation I've been able to come up with has to do with freedom. You write a sentence, the basic unit of storytelling, and you are never sure where it will lead. The readers will not know where it leads either. Your adventure becomes theirs, eternally recapitulated in tandem, one wild ride together. Even when you come to the end of the sentence and mark it with that dot, it is still strangely inconclusive. I sometimes think one writes to find God in every sentence, but God, the ironist, always lives in the next sentence. It is this freedom of the message sender and receiver that connects them, sailor to wife, the dying to the living. We use this freedom to break the silence, even of death, even when, in the depths of our darkest loneliness, we have no clear idea of why we reach out to one another with these frail, perishable chains of words. In the black chamber of the sunken submarine, Kolesnikov noted, "I am writing blindly, like everyone else."
We know we are entangled with one another. This entanglement with human beings is self-evident. This entanglement gives rise to our need to communicate, to connect, to have our voice heard, to listen, and to commune with one another at deep levels beyond the capacity of language. These truths we grasp. Captain Dmitry Kolesnikov reminds us of these truths. Yet we also have a need to communicate beyond our human and social context. A need to personally communicate and connect with an ultimate reality. It is the practice and exercise of this deeper communication we are about to explore. Come with me now as we venture, together and solitarily, into communication with the deep.